Don't release me from your orbit, don't let go. Don't let go. Don't push me away, I'll get lost in a space. Don't push me away, don't push me away. Don't push me away, I'll get lost in a space. Don't push me away, don't push me away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Price of Fame. I'm your host, Lunga Tshuka. Apologies. So today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is an accomplished singer, songwriter, and entertainment personality. He's done about 3 albums, 1 EP launch, and he's also had like hit singles on radio. In fact, actually, this man has about over 60 songs that is playlisted on radio in his career, performed both locally and internationally, and shared the stage and worked with some of the greatest in the music industry. Ladies and gents, it's time to meet the man behind the music. Please make some noise as we welcome to the screen, Chad Saaiman. Man in the house. How you doing, brother?
Thank you for having me. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. Like I know, like I said before in the technical check, you know, like I actually know you for quite some time, and we're gonna get into like the first time I saw you, and I know you from the days when you used to have long dreadlocks, way back in the day, you know. So yeah, we're gonna get into all that from the beginning, and like it's a real honor and a pleasure to such an honor to have you on the show, man. I really want to get to know who you are, man. We've been just admiring your music and hearing you all the time and seeing you also being on TV and all of that. So it's really good to get into the real person, you know, because there's a lot, I believe there's a lot to learn, and you've had so many lessons that we can learn from, you know, and that might inspire. So looking forward to getting all of that. Yeah. So are you good, brother?
Fantastic. I'm well. I have no complaints. Always happy to be able to, you know, just share a bit more about the human being, which I always think is an important part of any artist. So excited
Absolutely.
for the conversation.
Yeah, a lot. I've heard this saying so many times. Everyone sees the glory, but nobody really knows the story, you know. And I think the journey is the most important thing, a part of our lives, and that's where we learn from each other and we also get inspired. So cool. I'm excited. Let's get into it. Like, okay, first of all, before we get into all of those questions, let me find out if you could wrap it up in a nutshell, how was 2021 for you? What's your biggest goal for 2022?
2021, I would say was, I'd call it like sweet and sour. If
Yeah.
we're going to use a food metaphor. The sour parts obviously coming out of the fact that we're still in and out of a pandemic, and obviously for the arts, not as easy to express ourselves and be in the places we would have liked to be in all the time. Sweet because, you know, with that, I think everyone just got to reflect a bit more on the back of the first year of the pandemic. And I think everyone now was moving beyond just looking in the mirror and saying, what is my next move? It's more a case of executing and implementing those things. So it was super sweet. I you know, I found some new things that I'm really enjoying, and some things came to me, and just always just trying to make the most of each day. That's the one thing that stays the same.
Absolutely. No, 2021 was a huge year for us for transformation, you know, because of a lot of things had to change from us, you know, even the way that we put ourselves out there in the industry, you know. So I guess it was a huge, like, just a game changer for each and everyone, and we all had to just evolve, you know. And like you said, it was bittersweet because there was still those challenges that the COVID brought. But on top of it, the sweetness is, you know, new opportunities, new doors opening, you know, new version of yourself. Some of us even needed that break, you know, just to reassess everything like that, you know. So I guess, like you're saying, a sweet journey, you know. But okay. So okay, let's start with you. I don't want to tell you bring you where I first, because I know I only came late into the game in that time. But let's start with you. what inspired you to be a singer or just look into the music industry? You know, you was a little kid there. Take us back to the time, the feel, the smell. Where were you staying? How old were you? Paint us the picture when you fell in love with music the very first time.
So I'd say it happened quite late for me. Generally speaking, you know, when you speak to a musician, they were like these 5, 6-year-old kids playing an instrument or doing something. I had a different view of what I thought I'd be doing for a living. I thought I'd be doing sports. My
Yeah,
dream was to play soccer professionally, and I think with having that, I really honed in my focus on that, and that really affected my entire life. And that's why I will always say soccer is still my first love.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Even though music is my, I guess, my greater love, my career, entertainment is my career, but soccer is my first love. And I think by the time I got into music, I was a grade 11, um, and I started singing at school, and
yeah.
it was just a moment. And I think when we sang, I started the song, and I was in a group, and I know as soon as I started the song, I just knew that this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And
What was the
I
name?
think it was Backstreet Boys. What's the song? I'll Never Break Your Heart. That's the name of the song.
Okay, nice, nice. What was the name
Uh,
of your group at the time?
my group was called PQ, which stood for pure quality. But
Okay.
if you really knew, it was called it was called player quality. So
Okay, okay,
it
okay.
was a long time ago. It was a long
Yeah,
time
yeah,
ago.
yeah. That's hilarious. Only those who knew knew.
Yeah, yeah,
But for
yeah. If you knew, you knew.
that's awesome, man. And from there, like, what was your next step? You know, once you started like performing at school, how did your career develop into what it is now?
I just, you know, just today I was listening to a podcast, and it just reminded me of I've always been a person who's been attracted to detail and kind of being obsessed with something I love. So whether it meant being obsessed with soccer by, you know, having my boots out the night before the game, polishing my boots the night before the game. I think when I started doing music, I had the same attitude. So what that meant was I was trying to learn as much as I can. I was researching and understanding what other groups were doing, what other people were doing, and how we would do it differently. And I pretty much wouldn't want to stop until I knew we were at a point when it came to rehearsals or learning new material. So I think from that point, it was just a whole lot of teaching of self, you know, just to get to the next level. And then I went to my parents and I was like, listen, guys, I want to do music. And my dad was like, okay, okay. I suggest you go and study something um, first before you head into music. So I was like, cool, I'll meet you there. Um, and and then I think that was the next phase of entering certain singing competitions, national ones, whilst being at UW's UWC studying. And that was a very interesting and busy, probably the busiest phase of my life, because I played soccer, studied full time. I was performing at night. I was entering competitions and traveling the country, and it prepared me for a whole lot of things to come.
Yeah. Awesome. But like, how did you manage all of that? Was there ever a time, because I'm sure like your music was also pretty doing well at the time, right? So you were getting gigs and then you have to study and also with the traveling around, was it kind of hectic for you at the time to balance
It
both?
absolutely, and I think, you know, balance is such an important term because you don't find balance, you create
Mm,
balance. You know,
yeah.
you have to physically delete to be
Yes.
able to have balance. And I think
Yes.
what had happened at that point is I think I was heading toward becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none. And it
Yeah.
was, in fact, my brother, my older brother, who just brought it to my attention. He said, you know what, Chad, I see this and this and this is happening. You're going to have to quit something. And the
Yeah.
choice was between music and soccer. And it was up till today the hardest decision I've ever made.
Yeah. But I think you still get a game in here and there, you know, because I remember, yeah, I remember seeing you at some fives thing, where the comedians were playing, some playing against other. You were also there, and you were very much, and you also performed there, you know. I think so. Yeah, I see you do get a bit of a good little game. Do you have guys that you regularly meet up with for a game of soccer every now and then?
I do. Usually on a Saturday or Sunday morning, I have some friends who I used to play with. We connect for social. But I have been taking a bit of a break from soccer. The last 4 months, I've been taking a break because I was busy training for the Two Oceans half marathon, which I did about a month ago. So I'll be getting back to soccer soon. I think it's important to have a hobby. It's important to have something that you love outside of your actual work. As much as we love what we do, I think it's important to have something outside because that's where you actually get the fuel for everything else you're doing. The term leisure, I think, in a different kind of setting, actually means, if you take it back to Greek mythology, what leisure loosely translated actually means school. So leisure in the roots of the word actually meant to learn something and to do something you can, take and do something else with outside of your actual work. So yes, I do get to play, and yes, I think soccer is still close to my heart.
Absolutely. No, it's good. It's good. I'm glad that you still get to balance it out. You have to keep the soul happy as well.
Absolutely.
And at what point in your music, because I'm assuming that you're the only you're the only musician in your house, right? Or in your family. And so there wasn't really anyone to really show you the ropes and like take your hand, you know. So at what point in your career did you focus more on the business side of music? Because I know you're also with a record label now, and you guys have like opened the door for so many up and coming artists and also good artists that has been before with you guys, and you've done so many shows and given a lot of artists a lot of platforms. So at what point did you understand the importance of that and the transition that you needed to make?
I think, for me, a lot of things happen quite organically. At certain points of my life where my focus, like the first, I'd say 4 years of my original music career, was literally focused on writing music, really like recording music, focused on performing and so forth, but building a foundation of a catalog of songs that either I was performing or other artists were performing. In that time, we started discussing starting a label, and that eventually happened with Stereotype Records. And even then, I think I was still more focused on, the main thing. As time went by, I started getting more interested in and understanding, and this might just be the detail part of me, just wanting to understand the journey of a song from when I write it in my bedroom to when it's to 2, 3, 5 years later, understanding that entire process from a both business, from an administrative and from a musical process and a PR process, just applying my mind to it. And I think that's just where the excitement started, and eventually I took over our business about 6 years, 7 years ago, and since then a lot of changes has happened. But I do, to answer the actual question, the transition happened there was no point where I physically wanted to say, hey, I'm not going to do music anymore because I want to do music business. Sometimes, some people around you might think that, look, it either has to be one or the other. And I had some of those voices in my head, but I always made music, and I still make music. And I think it's something that just defines who I am. But in the same breath, the expectation I have for my music has changed, because 10 years ago I would drop a song knowing that these were the certain things that would happen after the song or what my goals were. Now, for the last 5 to 6 years, I've made music I enjoy. I've not overthought what the song needs to sound like. I'm just
Yeah.
in tune. I'm so in tune with the music I make now that if no one plays it, I'm not emotionally affected by it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't have expectation other than the music affecting human beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the fact that it gets out there and you get to do what you love, that's enough to keep you fulfilled. That's amazing. That's pretty cool. And let's talk about the chat sessions, because that's the
Mm.
first time when I actually saw you. And
Mm.
I was introduced to you by a colleague of mine at the time, was working at Spades. And she told me, she dragged me out because she's like, no, you have to come to this amazing sessions. It happens at Bermuda. The guy named, he hosts it. His name is Chad Saaiman. At the time, I was like, who's Chad Saaiman? And
Oh,
she played a few
wow.
things, and I was
I did.
like, whoa.
That's long
And I,
ago, bro.
yes, bro, yes. And like, it was the first time, my first experience ever being at an open mic night kind of thing, where you just get a bunch of musicians hanging out, artists, actors, rappers, different kind of people. And and then they get up there, then they have a lineup, and then you like hosting the thing, and there's people coming up, and I think your sister would also play for you at some point.
Yeah.
So that was like really a cool experience. Tell me about that. Can you tell us about that journey? Why did you start chat sessions? And at the time, was there anything like that?
Look, I don't know what else is going on, but the chat session was built off a moment of rejection. So what had
Oh,
happened? The owner of
wow.
Bermuda had invited these two guys who owned a festival called the OBS Festival to have a meeting with me, because he was like, listen, this is Chad, he makes his own songs, can we get him onto the festival? So they come,
Yeah.
they sit down, they say, listen, the first thing they ask me, they're like, do you have a band? I'm like, no. Well, if you don't have a band, then unfortunately you can't get on the festival. And they literally like get up, pack their bags, and they're like, let us know when you have a band, and they walk out.
Wow.
So so at this point I'd only written songs, never released anything. And I was just like a bit gutted. And I sat there,
Yeah.
and the owner looked at me. Obviously he could see I was a bit down. He said, you know what, Chad, why don't you come sing your songs here on Sunday? So I said, okay. I don't know any musicians, band members. The only person I know who can play an instrument is my baby sister.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, like, I was like, listen, Carrie, come through. Can you just play my songs? And she's like, okay, cool. And we do the first one, and the second one goes down, and I'm like, wait, like, this is cool. People want to come. Let me invite someone else, and I bring another artist on, and it just
Yeah.
goes on and on, month to month, till this thing is like to a point where like international acts, one or two of them came to
Wow.
Cape Town, and they heard about the small thing and they jumped on stage,
Yeah.
um, which was pretty cool. But for me, I think the greatest lesson with the chat session is you don't have to be selfish with a platform.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
have to be established to have a platform. Because when
Yes.
I was only starting, and I was inviting people to come start with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who
Awesome.
were more experienced. So it was never you don't need to make it to any level to have to share,
Yeah.
and also there's enough room for everyone, man. There's
No, it was
enough room
dope.
for everyone. And
Absolutely.
that understanding, I'm so glad I understood it earlier, because in a small town like this, people can be very selfish, very kind of there's a word I'm looking for, a very, I'd say, protective over their little thing. Like, oh, you don't,
Yeah.
bro. If I
Yeah.
start
They,
the podcast, if I start the podcast next month, all good. I want to invite you on it.
yeah.
I want to speak to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's that kind of thinking that I've always had, and and sometimes people would say, why don't you just focus on yourself? You might have been further, but it's part of my value system to want to assist, my value system to want to make a greater impact beyond what I do. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I've lived my career.
Absolutely. I guess you were more focused on the industry versus just your own successes, you know. What is the
Yeah,
industry going to look like? What can I
yeah,
do to contribute to help other musicians, you know, so that we can
yeah.
build a better industry versus just building myself, you know. And
But you know, Lunga, in the sorry to break your word, in the same breath, bro, like there are a lot of people that may disagree with what you just said now, because
okay.
they'd be like, that man just looks like he's only focused on himself. But that's because people can't see what you do in the background. People can't see what you do when the lights are off. People can't see
Absolutely.
what you do, the work you're doing when other people are sleeping. People can't see the years you put in every morning from this time till that time. You don't document those things. You only
Yeah, yeah,
document the things that are meant to go out, me at least. Um,
yes.
so like I said, some people might be like, that guy's always just done his own thing, which doesn't bother me at all because, you know, I kind of know what I've done. And
Mm,
those who I've worked alongside will know what's up, you know?
yeah,
Um, yeah, man, it's about sharing. It's about the greater good of the industry. And I always had this vision. You know, I'm a father. I always had this vision of my kid one day bumping into one of the OGs, and
yeah,
this guy says, "I knew your father, and what he did for the industry was amazing." I, not, I love this song of your dad's.
yeah, yeah.
Had this vision of he played a role in something bigger, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Not definitely, bro. And I think like um from according to my knowledge, you know, and just from what you shared, I think it started as early as the chat sessions, you know,
Yeah,
when you're trying to
yeah,
put yourself on, you know, you're like, why don't this become a platform for more guys? Because like you said, the owner said to you, why don't you do your songs? He didn't say
yeah,
start a thing. He didn't say
yeah.
start a vibe and invite people. You thought, okay, if this can work for me, it can work for so many other people who's in the same position. And that's where you
That's
took it
it.
from there, you know. And I guess also you were starting Stereotype Records. It's just the next level of you creating
Yeah,
platforms, helping other people. Yeah, man,
yeah.
respect to that. So,
Yeah.
have you lived anywhere else besides Cape Town? And if yes, has the place where you've lived affected your music in some kind of way, your style or anything like that? You know, did it kind of like change you in a kind of way, an inspiration or bad anyway?
So I've lived in. So as soon as I finished my studies, I lived in Europe for 6 months, just singing at
Wow, awesome.
hotels and bars.
Yeah,
I was afforded an opportunity, and it was by no means glamorous. It was
yeah,
my first time on an international flight, first time leaving home for like 6 months. And that was a critical point because you really get to learn about yourself when you travel. You really get to learn how, how many things were done for you by your parents, for example.
yes.
Because I got one day I didn't have enough money to buy food, and I was in Spain, and I'm like, well, I guess I have to cook something, and I had no idea how to cook. You know,
Yeah,
while and so forth. And so I think it was a great period for me because at that point I was 21 years old, and it was important for me to learn more about myself and how and just gain a bit of independence.
yeah,
Then I lived in Johannesburg for 4 years, and that was after 8 years of being in Cape Town and working on my career. The next four I did in Joburg, and I think there I learned a lot of lessons about, you know, just about how how people operate and how they continue to work and how things come into fruition and how you don't need four meetings for one thing to happen. I
yeah,
learned about Joburg is a very solution driven place, and that's some of the good lessons I got out of it, and I made some good like good friends and good connects. So I used to play in a soccer game in Joburg on a Monday night, right? And if I tell you who was on this pitch when I would play on a Monday, and I'm not one to name drop, but I'm going to give you a perspective of how football still stuck with me all the way throughout my career. So
Yeah.
on this pitch would be Trevor Noah,
Wow.
Casper Nyovest,
Yeah.
aka
What?
Milkshake. Um, I mean, I can actually literally go on and on, but I'm just gonna stop there.
Yeah. I mean, wow, I can't picture them all on one pitch playing soccer.
Yeah, and it was a private game. You wouldn't talk about it. You wouldn't post about it. You would just go play football. Loiso Gola would be there.
Yeah.
Sure, man. The list goes on and on. But I think that was one of the great things I got from Joburg. I got to connect to people who
Yes.
didn't know me for a long time, and you know at ease, man. When people don't know your history, and and Joburg is a friendly place, man. People are so nice. Everyone speaks to everyone. You know, the CEO spends time with the security guard. There's no hierarchy
Yeah.
outside of business. It's just everyone just shows love, man, and everyone's willing to have the conversation because everyone has a similar mentality that they want to head in a direction that is for that is positive.
Absolutely.
I also faced some adversity in Joburg, where I was there for a month and a half, and I was involved in an attempted hijacking that changed my
Oh,
entire life, and that
yeah.
was in 2011. So I think there were so many different layers of lessons I've learned with traveling. Um, with getting shot, it was a near-death experience that, up till today, changed the way I live my life. It was very close to you not speaking to me today, speaking to someone else because I wouldn't have been here. But because I
Yeah.
got the second opportunity, I certainly took that and literally live life to the fullest. I'm excited for each and every day, and it's been
Yeah.
11 years almost. I'm excited for each and every day, man. Like sometimes I don't want to go sleep because I just love being awake. I love being alive.
Yeah.
And that is a superpower that I think I've been blessed with.
Yeah.
So yeah, the travels have helped in many many different ways.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. And sorry to hear about that situation, and I'm
All
glad
good.
that you made it strong out of that.
Yeah.
Like you seem like a positive guy, and you're always trying to like do things right and also stay in positive spaces. But was there ever a time where you kind of like caught yourself maybe being toxic towards your own self or your career, where you kind of were like making moves that were like self-sabotaging your career in some kind of way?
No, I don't think so. I think you know when I in the latter part of my career, reflecting, I got into the psychology of why I made certain decisions and what I was trying to do. And I think the greatest thing was after I got shot, I think everyone around me, especially on the team, expected everything to be the same. And so did I.
Yeah.
So when a certain song would go out before and get onto 20 radio stations, now you drop a song and it gets onto five.
Yeah.
Or when the big festivals used to book you, now they're not booking you.
Yeah.
I think like I would take it upon myself and based on once again certain voices that it was me and I wasn't good enough anymore to do the things that I wasn't as good as I was before because the songs
Yeah.
weren't doing the things that it used to do. The money maybe that was coming in wasn't the same, but
Yeah.
it took me years to realize that I wasn't the same.
Mm.
It took me years to realize that the goalpost that I was aiming for before had changed, but I was still trying to chase the old goalposts because the people around me were like, yeah, that's what you need to do because that's what you always did. So in that way, there was a bit of, I think, I would say, I guess, negative self-talk,
Yeah.
where I felt that like I wasn't good enough because I wasn't achieving the same things. But it took me years to realize that I was getting better. I was
Yeah.
getting greater, but not
Yeah.
with the things that used to be the things, I was
Yeah.
holistically growing. And the way I know I'm right is because if I look at my career now, I've had a 15-year career of making music. I've had an 18-year career of being an entertainer, and I'm still here. As you can see, I have a roof over my head. I've clothes on my
Yeah.
body, and it's a lot. It's we got through a pandemic, and we're still going. So, my growth as a human being has been one of my greatest achievements.
Hmm. And like with our communities where we grow up, we faced a lot of challenges like drugs and alcohol and also gangsterism and just like the dark side of things, and I'm sure also within the music industry, there's also that dark side, we get to see, oh, there's drugs and all of that, overconsumption of a lot of bad, maybe I would say bad parties or bad connections and things like that.
Mm.
Ever challenged by any of those things or found yourself stuck in the middle of like, where the hell am I, out of in those challenges? Do you ever experience any of that?
I guess there was always, certain pressures and certain things that came with being in the industry. But I mean, let me take you to the beginning. We were born in Mitchell's Plain in Portland, and when I was about 3 years old, my mother moved us to the southern suburbs to Crawford, which is part of the greater Athlone area. And I think that move was so important because I think your geography plays a massive role in what you're exposed to and what you're not exposed to. Um, the schools I went to were all in Athlone, primary school, high school. But there were certainly things going on. It wasn't hunky dory. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember being at high school, and one of the first days I was there in the first term, I remember just seeing like a guy get stabbed, and I'd never seen that before. And I was like, oh, oh, I was like, oh no, it's not my life. And I think because
Yeah.
of sport, I was always so focused on sport. I never drank, I never smoked, I never took drugs. It was just and by the time I grew older, I was so used to not doing things like
Yeah.
that. I was so used to just being disciplined, and I took that into my music career. Um, so I do think, yes, obviously you face, but I was never faced in a way where I needed to make very serious decisions in a room where there was drugs or in a room there was this or that. I
Yeah.
somehow I've been lucky enough to know where to find myself, in which positions to find myself. So to answer that, no, I haven't. I wasn't faced with too much of that.
Mm. And like with your music career, what were like with learning with being in the journey that you've been on, and with seeing artists come and go, good and bad, and all of that, and you're also trying to help a lot of artists. What could you say what you've learned the most are the three crucial things that artists should do or should keep in mind when they want to take their career seriously, if they want to really move forward in the career as a musician? What do you think are like two tips or even three tips that you have, that is for you as a non-negotiable if you're really serious about your career?
Okay, so the first one is understand your career path before you embrace it. So know that being a bricklayer, for example, will affect your hands, or know that there's certain seasons where it's better to have that job. And I think with the music industry, you see a lot of glamour, you see a lot of cool things, you see music videos, you hear songs, you see the style, and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I can do that. But like, I think understand that the career path comes with a lot of challenges and negative moments, and understand it holistically. not just the art of it. I'm not saying everyone needs to be a businessman. I'm just saying understand the business of your career. That is number one. Number two, work on thyself. I think we all get taught to practice the thing you do. But if there's one lesson that I kind of wish I knew earlier, was to work on myself and rest more. I worked myself to the bone for years, and then certain things slowed me down, not by choice, but I had to slow down. And I think one day when your life comes to an end, you don't think of all the hard work you did, you think of the best moments of your life. So work on thyself and be present in the moment. I think those are things that see, and none of the advice I gave you was about a certain chord on a guitar or a certain note that you must sing. Because those are things that we're naturally gifted with, especially, Cape Town is one of the most gifted cities in the world, man. So I think it's about the other things, understanding, working on yourself and then also be punctual. From my father. My father was a man who he's always on time. He's actually early. And I think in my career, it's one of the things that I've always tried to focus on and maintain. So yeah, be punctual, work on thyself, and understand your career before getting into it.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned earlier on, you've probably seen some talented people come and go where you thought this person is going to go further than me, but absolutely, like the career just went a different kind of path, In your experience, 3 things that definitely will ruin your career as a musician or send you down a path that you don't want to go.
I've never thought of this. That's a good question. But I'd probably say overconsumption of alcohol and drugs, which would then lead to affecting decision making and making bad decisions. That would be one. What's that?
I say it would probably affect your performance too.
Absolutely, performance, everything, and I think exercising and taking care of yourself, because if you want to live a long career, you're going to play lots of shows, you're going to perform lots of times. I still, with the band that I'm in, the Black Ties, we still do a 90-minute show, high intensity. At no point in that show do I ever want to be out of breath or feel like I'm struggling because of fitness. So I think if you want a long career at a high level, you have to take care of your body, take care of your health. And I'm not talking about physique, because that doesn't mean much. Talking about take care of your body, what you consume, if you want to have a long career. So if you don't do that, I think it can ruin your career in the long term. And then I think trying to copy and paste somebody else's career journey. So if Lunga did it this way, Lunga started the year and then he went to this thing and then he did that and then he worked with this one. So I'm going to go work with the exact same people and do exactly what Lunga did. It's not going to work because you're not Lunga. You are. Someone else is not.
I get it.
So it's about figuring it out for yourself, man. Taking good bits from everywhere. So I'd say do not copy and paste someone else's career path. Do not consume drugs and alcohol. And then the other one was do not neglect taking care of your body and mind, I think.
Absolutely. No, look, that last one is something that I also I value so much and I take dear, because I hit the gym a lot, and that's because I want to stay, I want my career, because your health is your wealth,
Absolutely.
you want to stay energetic, you want to stay being able to do all of those things. And like you say, that 90-minute shows, you know, you want to be able to do that. And mind you, I write my material very energetic, so I'm always moving around and getting in like impersonations and all of that stuff. So if I
Yeah.
skip my gym time, sometimes I feel too tired for my own jokes, and I'm like, hey, I need to start working. And I was like, who did I write this for? Who wrote this? You know, they're like, no, okay, I need to get on the treadmill now because my own material is making me tired. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
you know, no,
yeah,
I need to
yeah.
like get. So no, I fully like agree with that one. You know, it's very important,
So
and
it's so
yeah,
important.
your
Yeah.
health, you know, make sure
And I
that you're
mean,
healthy.
Lunga, if Beyonce practices her entire concert on the treadmill, she sings her whole show on the treadmill. It goes
Yeah,
to show how important being some level of fit is, you know.
yeah. No, absolutely.
So
You just like you perform better, you think and feel a lot better as well, you know, and you have all this energy to do a lot more as well.
yeah,
So, and somehow you find yourself also being motivated. I don't know how does that
yeah,
work, you know,
yeah,
when you then you always like, you know, you always find yourself motivated, especially when you come from a gym, you know, your ideas are flowing and everything like that. And when you're healthy, you just because you don't feel sluggish and your mind is also
yeah.
not sluggish, yes, you know.
That
So I guess it all helps.
that's exactly it. I mean, the endorphins that get released when you exercise, or even something as and I think what a lot of people get wrong is they think it's either you have to be hitting the gym 6 days a week or you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm saying go for a walk every day. I'm saying then jog or jog twice a week, walk 4 days a week. I'm not saying you got to be on that protein and that 8 pack and
Yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah,
sometimes people think exercise is that picture of a
yeah,
guy who has a 6 pack or a girl with a perfect what is deemed a perfect bikini body or whatever it may be.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
exercise is also for the mind. So go for a walk, like clear
Yoga
your
even.
mind. Yoga, do it from YouTube, do it from wherever, man. Unless you have physical impediments, I don't think there's an excuse,
Yeah. What
because
are
there are
some of
people
your most
with physical impediments who still exercise.
absolutely, absolutely. No, that's
Yeah,
true. I mean, you get
yeah,
people in the gym that's maybe got a leg amputated or people in wheelchair, they're still doing their thing, you know. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse. It's
yeah.
really something that starts in the mind, I guess, and you manifest it with the body.
That's it.
So what are some of your most iconic moments in your music career? Like, have you like the moments where you've got to meet some celebrities or share the stage with certain people? And are there still some moments that you look forward to, or still some artists that you'd love to still meet and probably do a song with?
Um, I got to we got to perform with Brian McKnight. We got to tour SA with Brian McKnight, and
Awesome, awesome.
that one was just amazing for the kid in me, because when I started getting
Yeah,
into R&B, I was like, firstly, I can't sing the songs. He's too good.
yeah.
Secondly, I just like admired the man so much, his music. We got to tour with Tevin Campbell on 2 occasions, which was pretty great. Um, Incredible human being, great
Mm,
guy. Uh, and then also, I got to, in 2010, when it was the World Cup, I got to work with a producer called Ron Feemster. And the artist he had worked with just before me
yeah.
was Michael Jackson,
Wow.
who had then passed away. So just
Yes,
feeding
yes.
off that energy was a massive moment for me. This guy worked with Neo, Mary J. Blige, MJ, and so forth. And I think when I got to meet this guy, I understood that I realized that sometimes we operate at our own level system, and
Yeah.
my 9 out of 10 was his 3 out of 10. And I think
Wow.
that experience just really pushed me and pushed me and pushed me.
Mm,
Um, and I do think it's a whole lot of moments of impact that change your career, man. Now I'm also on the other side of the mic, so I'm on radio now. I have my own radio show, which is quite cool. Um, on that side, I got to, you know, I've interviewed Craig David,
Yeah.
Jonathan
Awesome.
Jonathan Butler, and it's like, it's nuts because like these are people who I looked up to so much, and
Yeah.
how I got to them is not the thing here. I didn't do a song with them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
them through another path of entertainment,
Absolutely.
and for me, I love the fact that I still got to them somehow. You know,
Yeah.
from a music perspective, I still want to do a song with Black Coffee.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's my, to be honest, that's like, it's my one. Say, Chad, what's your dream collab?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's still my dream collab, Black Coffee.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
And listen, like you've played like a mentor for so many musicians, like
yeah,
especially with the record label and also with the platforms that you provided up and coming musicians. Have you ever had anyone that you identified as a mentor, that walked into your music career at a certain point in life? Can you share with us
yeah.
who that was and how it affected
Um,
you?
well, I had two
Or how it
people.
impacted you?
Yeah, two people who ideally, served as a mentor, and the one is my older brother, Lee Saaiman, and I think he's a human being that, number one, was just always very individual. He's his own person, and his ideas sometimes sound crazy, um, but a lot of the time they also land years later. So
Yes.
as a mentor, sometimes, you know, he would say certain things that I would disagree with or not like, but it's because at times he was ahead of the
Yeah.
thinking, and always has my best interest at heart. Um, and I think when you got that in a mentor, they're gonna say the hard things to you, but you're gonna have to just kind of figure it out and take it, which is not
Yeah.
easy if you're also the baby brother. But he impacted me in a way where I got to understand a lot more about how business goes down. Because I was not bothered about business, man, not at all. I was like,
Mm.
why do I have to care about these things? I mean, like, so
Yeah.
that's what he gave me. And then I had Loiso Bala, who
Wow.
I ended up writing songs for, and then we built a friendship, and he served as a mentor to me. And that was
Yes.
straight up an artist who could just kind of guide me and be like,
Yeah.
left, right, think about this, think about that. And then those were the two, man. And I think Loiso, what he gave me was an understanding of what it means to be an artist, or understanding of what it means to be true to yourself as an artist, um, and just how to enjoy your career, man. I think that's what I learned from him, and I will always be grateful for the both of them.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you find moments. Are you currently a mentor to someone specifically, or have you just found yourself in moments through the work that you do, through your record label, that you
Yeah.
mentor, or you mentor students or mentor up and coming?
Look, currently as it stands, I'm not mentoring anyone, but I was all up until the end of last year. Um,
Mm.
I still, on a case by case basis, provide some mentorship. I do work with the V&A Waterfront also in terms of mentorship with some of the buskers there, and then case by case, I still mentor. Um, but I just, I think I'm at a point in my career where I really have to be careful with my time and
Yeah.
expectation of what's on the other side. And I think, I'm in a phase now where there's one or two new things popping up in my career, like radio, for example.
Yeah.
And if I want to excel at it, and if I want to be the best at it, or one of the best at it, I really have to also hone in on, you know, being obsessed with the detail of what's going to get me to that place. And with that comes time. So I'm also quite wary of my time. But in the
Yeah.
same breath, if a call comes and, someone says, what, can you please go chat to this family because their kid wants to get into music, and it's people I know and I'm connected to, I'll go through and just have the conversation. If someone asks me a question on the socials and I have time, a quick little question, if if they can Google the answer, I will say you can Google, like, hey man, like, just search this on Google, you
Yeah.
know, and you'll find it. But if I can provide some sort of opinion on something, I try and do that. But I do think in the next phase of my career, you know, when I have more time to be able to provide mentorship again in the way I used to, I will, because there is, I also have to take care of, you know, my time and myself to be able to be a good mentor, good artist, a good businessman, a good radio presenter. If I don't take care of that, I can't show up for my family. I can't show up for my loved ones. So there's a big shift that's happened in the last few years of also knowing I need to be the best version of
Yeah.
Chad to be able to help other people.
It's so funny, you know, because and that's so important because that is should be the foundation because from you being in a good space, you can do your work better, you can help people better, all of that. So if you're
Yeah,
doing all of that stuff, not taking time for yourself and you're burning out, you might not be able to perform on your best. You might not be able to be there present for anyone else probably as much as you want to be. So yeah,
yeah,
some self-time and self-care is very, very important in your career, in your personal life, in every aspect of your life, you know. It's
yeah,
important to charge your batteries and just do what's good for Chad.
absolutely.
So it leads me to my last question, Chad. I've had such a good time with you, man. Hope you're enjoying your time as well, chatting
I
to me.
am. I am.
Cool, right? So with my last question, I always ask people, and I put them in this time machine that I have, this imaginary time machine. And I'm gonna dial it back to a different time, but you can give me what specific time that you feel it will be appropriate. But it's the Chad of today, having gone through exactly what you've gone through, you know, learned all the lessons, the knowledge that you have, and you're going back to a younger version of yourself, a younger Chad, not knowing what's ahead of him, not knowing what he's just bright eyed, or maybe a time where you felt like, where do I go now? And I'm giving you 5 minutes to give the younger you some advice or some guidance. What would that be?
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to tell Chad is don't be so shy.
Yeah.
Like you creative, you talented. Um, don't be so shy. Say what you want to say. Be heard in the room. Don't shrink and become the wallflower. Um,
Yeah.
you're good at some stuff. Like don't be shy with it.
Mm.
That's the one thing. The other thing is I know you feel like you're not like everyone else around you sometimes, and it's okay. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to wear what everyone else is wearing. Sometimes you can't afford it. That's fine. You're going to be okay. Just embrace who you are without trying to compare yourself to everyone else because you know you're different. Um, you know you're writing poetry and you're doing puppet shows at home and you're tap dancing for your uncles and aunties. It's okay. That's
Yeah.
your superpower. You're different, you know. Um, I think that's one of the things. And then I think another thing is like, I think on the root of those, especially the first one of being shy, when I
Yeah.
was younger, when it came to the big moment, you really needed to be like, this is the moment, I would kind of not deliver. So I didn't have BMT, big match temperament. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know how else I would have prepared for myself for that, but I think with what I said earlier, telling myself that I am enough, telling myself that I don't need to be shy, I need to be confident. Um, and then also a thing I would tell my younger self is, Chad, you're gonna get taller. So don't stress about it. Because I was the shortest in my class,
Yeah. Yeah.
shortest
Yeah.
kid until grade 11. I would pray at night, dear God, please protect my family. Please protect mother. May I please score goals on Saturday at soccer, God?
Yeah.
And then lastly, God, can I be taller?
Ah, man, that's so cute. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was
I
a
wish I
baller.
was a baller.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
my
I
jam,
know.
bro. That was my jam. And I was just like, man. And the worst part is every time I liked the girl, she was taller. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
come on, Chad. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
uh, I eventually did get a bit taller. I mean, I'm not a tall person, but I'm not short anymore. So,
yeah.
I'm not short. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big
That's-
one. That was an important one. Yeah, that was an
yeah,
important one
yeah,
for me
yeah.
because felt like I was at a disadvantage, man. Like
Yeah.
somehow it just I don't know why it affected me as a kid, but like my father would come to school and look for me. He'll be like, "Where's small Chad?" You would like make just put it.
Small
He would
chat.
like put his hand here. Where's Chad? And but yeah, man. So yeah, those are the things. I think obviously the first two are more serious.
Yeah,
Telling myself not to be shy, to be confident, telling myself that I'm enough, telling myself that it's okay to be different,
yeah,
um, and just to go for it, man. Not to live in fear. Um, and I think that's what I would tell my younger self.
yeah. I actually love that last one too. Like, don't worry, you're gonna get a bit taller.
Yeah,
think, um, I think I don't think it's anything weird about you that you kind of had a complex about it because society makes a thing about short guys and tall women. It's always like they, they,
yeah,
they say like difficult for tall women to like be in relationships or it's difficult for short
yeah,
guys to girls, and I don't think that's true.
yeah.
But it's that thing that
Nah.
kind of played with your mind and where people will kind of tease and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was normal for you to pray for height or to feel like, hey, man, I wish I was a little bit taller. I mean, even Philo felt that way. Yeah,
Yeah, man. But based
yeah,
on my height now, it just goes to show, man, God is good.
yeah. Awesome stuff. Brother, before I let you go, is there anything that you feel that I may have left out or didn't give you an opportunity to share and you would love to share before I let this go?
I think it's just, telling everyone that's tuned in and everyone that will watch this, just thanking them for all the support throughout all these years. And whether you listen to a song once or you heard 20 songs or half a song or you saw a picture or you shared a message or I think like it's just to everyone to let them know that we all have an opportunity now with the digital age to be able to affect people, to be able to affect change, to be able to touch people in a moment. And for me, I think to build those lines and maintain that lines of respect. I think with social media and with the internet, everyone is it's so
Yeah,
easy to disrespect someone. So we want to get back to those boundaries of like where we
yeah,
all just respect each other and just empathize with each other and think, look, is this something that I would want someone to do to me before I do it to someone else? Um,
yeah,
and to all the musicians out there pushing you know it's having that never say die attitude, and I've never had a point in my career to wrap up. I've never had a point in my career where I ever wanted to give up, ever,
yeah, yeah.
because
Awesome.
that's how strongly i I believe that I could have a career. So I have that never say die attitude, but also if it's not the right thing for you, it's okay to move on. Things are
Yeah,
seasonal. Sometimes something can be a career for 10 years and you can move on and do something else. So
absolutely.
it follow your gut. That's it.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Chad. Like I said, I've had a lovely time chatting with you and getting to know the real man behind the music and the business. And I've had a really
Mm.
good time. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on The Price of
Thank,
Fame, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for putting people on and sharing good stories. And I think thank you mostly for wanting to learn about the human being than
Yeah.
only the product of what people see. So we appreciate you too, Lunga.
One love, brother. Let's keep doing our thing. Let's keep supporting each other in the gaps where we feel like I'm busy here, but someone else can Raise up there, and let's keep this thing going, man. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for seeing me and my
Cool.
efforts as well. Truly appreciate
Cool.
you. Real quick, for those who have not followed you just yet or whatever, don't know how to get in touch with you, can you please drop all of your social handles?
It's pretty much the same handle across everything. It's Chad Saaiman, so ChadSaaiman. And they can just connect with me, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to, whatever you're into, I'm somehow there. So yeah, let's connect, man.
Awesome stuff. And your radio show, what time do you go live with your radio show?
6 to 9 p.m. from a Monday to a Thursday on Good Hope FM, as well as on a Sunday, 3 to 6 p.m. So it's evening radio during the week and afternoon on a Sunday. So during the week, if you are driving home or you're cooking, turn it on. It's good music, some good chats, and always good to connect with you guys.
Awesome stuff. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You know where to find him on social media, and you know where to find him from Mondays to Thursday. If you just like to hear his voice some more and hear his insights, and there's amazing people that he's interviewing. You heard earlier on that he got Craig David on and some other amazing people on. So be part of that, be part of his journey. And Chad, thank you so much, brother. It's been an hour. Cool. I've had a lovely time with you. May have the enjoy the rest of the day. See you.
Thanks, Lunga. Later.
Out. Alrighty, so that's it. Let's just fix just fix the set there. So that's it from Chad Saaiman, ladies and gentlemen, and that is it from me too. Thank you for those who still managed to tune in today. I know the times are a bit different. I didn't warn you, but you still showed up. Thank you. I love you so much for supporting the show. This is season 2. I'm not even gonna keep track of what episode it is because I'm gonna keep going. Thank you so much, ladies and gents. And like I always say at the end of the show, we've also extended our possibilities and our opportunities for you guys, for your streaming pleasures now. For those of you who prefer the audio version of the podcast, you can catch it at Apple, Spotify, and as well as Anchor FM. And like I always said, Anchor FM, there is a feature where you could send us voice notes. I would love to hear from you guys. We always see the likes, the shares, and we see how much people are viewing the show. So we'd like to get some live voice. We'd like to get your voices into the show, incorporate into the show. Maybe we can interact with each other. Let me know what you think about the show. Let me know who you'd like to see on the show as well. For those of you not following me just yet, you can catch me on Facebook at Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. That is Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. On Instagram, there is a specific page for the Price of Fame. It's the Price of Fame ZA. Also have my page, which is Lunga Tshuka, at Lunga Tshuka. Plain and simple. Just put an at in front of it. And also you can catch all of the episodes, full episodes of season 1 and also now season 2 on my YouTube page. Go there, like, subscribe, and share. Have a good time. Ladies and gents, that's it from me. My name is Lunga Tshuka. I've been your host. This is The Price of Fame.